And always look at me, forget the camera.
All right.
So, Charlie, who are you? Introduce yourself.
Well, Charlie Owen, Program Manager on the Windows eHome team, Media Center. Been on Channel 9 before, so I'm happy to be back again. Yay.
All right, so are you nice and rested after the big CES show?
Yeah, luckily, or unfortunately, excuse me, I didn't get a chance to go to CES. I injured my back.
Mixed out. I figured I didn't see you there.
Yeah, I didn't. I wanted to go, and I heard about all the reports, but I didn't get to go, and it really bummed me out because that's a really good time to meet up with a lot of our MVPs that were there. Give a shout out to them, Ian Dixon, Peter Neers, a couple of those other guys, and see bloggers like Thomas Hawk and those other guys. I really hated that I missed it. It's always a great show to go to and see, what other people are doing.
You missed the hour-and-a-half taxi line at midnight when I got there.
One of the great tricks that you learn at CES is to get in a taxi line at the end, and as soon as the limo rolls up, yell out, if I get 20 volunteers, we can take this limo. And you just basically pay the limo driver. He gets a little extra, and you get 20 brand new people, and you get to have a conversation. And as long as you're generally going in the same direction, this part of the strip or that part of the strip, it's a great way to bypass that hour and a half. Just yell for a limo and get 20 people. It'll be cheaper in a taxi, actually, but that's my little tip for CES.
Well, we're here at Microsoft, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do, congratulations on the book launch.
Oh, thank you.
Conversations, great book.
Thank you.
I've read 3 chapters already. Good book. Anyway.
All right, I'll stay away from the plugs of naked conversations. That's as you do it. We're here in Redmond, right?
Yeah.
So we're back. We're not in Las Vegas. We're not at the convention anymore.
Building 50.
Now, this is a cool room.
This is a supremely
I heard about this room. All the MVPs would, have a private tour to this room. We're in Building 50, and would say, "There's a cool room in Building 50 where they can shut the door and not hear anything else and play the music loud."
Well, you can tell how quiet it is in this room. This room,
no fan noise. No.
It has basically 2 layers of cinder block around us. So the walls, if you look at the door, the walls are double thick. The room is got all this. If you pan the camera around, you'll see that it's got this
let's
foam.
walk around the room a little bit.
So some of the key things is it has these foam panels which are designed to absorb all ambient sound. It's got traps for sound so that if any sound bounces around the room, it'll be caught in here and moved out. The ceiling's got the foam on it. Even in the corners, even where we have some wallboard available, up in the corners, sound will go up there, be trapped, and not bounce around. And the room is designed so that you can do some really nice subjective listening tests. So the only thing that you hear in this room is what is exactly coming out of the speakers. Wow. Even the Media Center PCs that we test, or the Windows PCs that we test Macintoshes in here, all types of encoding levels and stuff like that. Those are siloed over in another room with all the connections coming into here, so you don't hear any fan noise or anything like that. You can see all the connections down here.
Hey, this looks like my Media Center at home.
Yeah, it's pretty kind of cool. Lots of
messy wires.
Some of the things that we have in here are Hafler amps. It's a 7.1 surround system, Snell, tower speakers, so really top-notch components so that all you're really listening to...
Be honest, you come in here to play Halo.
There is an Xbox.
Sometimes you can come in here and watch movies, and, it's really nice. Especially for movies, they also do some video tests in here.
Do you get TV on this thing? Are we going to have a Super Bowl party in here?
That's a good idea. We'll defer that discussion for later. We have a 1920 by 1080p projector in here, so that when we're watching Windows Media Video high definition, even if you downsample to like 720p, you're still going to miss some things, and people will miss some things. So we're trying to watch these things in native, full-scale high definition. We have something like a 120-inch screen or something like that we can drop down.
I tell you, Super Bowl party, you'd have people paying tickets.
This would be pretty cool. Every connection's in here, so I haven't thought about that. So we'll talk about that later. Again, I don't want to get in trouble with the big folks.
All right. So, anyways, we're here for series.
We thought we'd come in here and do the interview in here because as I watch Channel 9 video, it's like office after office after office. Yeah. Same thing, 18 monitors, desks, and all that. So I thought we'd come in here. It'd be kind of different.
Now, Bill doesn't come down here and hang out, does he?
I don't know if he does or not. I've never seen him here.
It's not close to his office.
It's not close.
Does he even know about this? Well, he will now.
He will now. You would never notice that this room is here because when you're walking down the hall, it's down the hall with that Mark sits in with devs and test people and PMs. So you'd never even know this room is here.
No,
so
I wouldn't.
It's just one of those things that's in here. So we really take things seriously, want to get the best quality to our customers, and this is one way that we deliver that.
Okay. All right. So who are you?
I'm Mark Finocchio. I'm a developer on Media Center's UI platform.
Excellent. And you were over here. You're just hanging in here and
hiding in the back.
This is Eminem's twin.
Thank you. I'm Aaron Stebner. I'm a program manager. I'm going to be working on the UI platform with Mark and Charlie. And the real reason Charlie's deflecting these Super Bowl questions is because he showed up last Friday in a Carolina Panthers jersey. And he's
well,
trying
your
to
team
suppress,
lost, man.
trying to suppress the results of the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, I did wear my Panthers jersey. Yes, that was a mistake.
Well, when I was in Pittsburgh last week, and the Pittsburgh bloggers give me a terrible towel, and they already made me a bet for a case of wine.
So yeah, the Panthers, they really stunk it up.
Actually, by the time this video is going to be up, the Super Bowl will
the
be done
Seahawks will have won the Super Bowl.
I hope so.
Heard it here first.
I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wear a Pittsburgh hat around the campus. Anyways.
For you.
So what are we here for today?
So we thought we'd kind of
Seriously.
give you a little tour of some of the new Media Center platform features that we're putting in the product. Right now, today, as we did the video about a year ago for Channel 9, we talked about the hosted HTML model, the things that you could build out there, and we've had a lot of partners, a lot of enthusiasts build those types of things. With Windows Vista, we're introducing 2 new pieces, and we introduced one of those at PDC, which is the ability to create applications for Media Center using Windows Presentation Foundation.
Yeah.
And we're also introducing our own native UI framework within Media Center called the Windows Media Center Presentation Layer.
Okay.
And it's a very similar paradigm, shares a lot of different concepts of how you architect an app with Windows Presentation Foundation. Well, while Windows Presentation Foundation, I tend to think of it as, to use a sports analogy, as this store that you can go into that you can buy and create all types of sports. So you can do football in there, you can do baseball, you can do cricket, you can do highlight, you can do all these different, you can buy the sports equipment. The Media Center Presentation Layer is designed for football.
Yeah.
You can't do cricket, you can't do baseball, you can't do soccer. You can only do football.
More specifically, it's designed to be looked at
So the
on a
analogy
TV
here
screen
is
in your living room, right?
Media Center Presentation Layer is designed from the ground up for 10-foot apps.
Yeah.
We can still do Windows Presentation Foundation XAML browser applications inside of Media Center and have full access to the API and all that.
Yeah.
It's just a slightly different way. There's some things that you can do in one that you necessarily can't do in the other. But for most of it, I would say like 95%, it's just a different way of doing it. And so hopefully we're going to show you some today of the Windows Media Center Presentation Layer. And I think pretty much all the things that we'd show you today you could do in either Windows Media Center Presentation Layer or Windows Presentation Foundation.
All right.
And
So there's some commonality between them.
there is some commonality.
Okay.
They're both built on top of .NET Framework 2.0. There's some different UI approaches that we take between the two of us. Both of them are based in XML declarative languages. For Windows Presentation Foundation, it's XAML.
Yep.
For ours, it's Media Center Markup language. I don't know that we have a way to MICML. I don't know. We don't have quite the marketing savvy that the Windows Presentation Foundation has yet. But we'll get there. We'll figure out some way to pronounce that.
So we're seeing Windows Vista today.
We're seeing Windows Vista today. We're seeing Media Center as it will most likely be in Windows Vista timeframe. And Mark's going to kind of give us a tour and give us some demo of how you might write some Media Center markup language to make the Media Center UI
Now let's
sing.
back up to a 30,000 foot level and forget the Windows Vista for a second. What is Media Center? Why do I want Media Center instead of a tablet PC or instead of the server OS? Or I mean, there's going to be, I don't know, 7 different versions of Windows Vista. And do you get Media Center automatically?
All right, so great. Let's tackle those questions kind of one at a time. Number one, what is Media Center? Media Center is really the best way for you to consume and use your digital content. It has a way for you to go through your library of pictures or listen to your music. Instead of using a traditional mouse and keyboard and sitting in front of a computer monitor and doing those things like this, we really basically have a remote control.
I mean, imagine having one of those in your living room.
Yeah.
My wife would never allow that.
Never allow that. So instead of having it mouse and keyboard driven, it's a highly simplified user interface that's really designed for you to be able to consume that digital media from anywhere in the room. So I can actually show you
a screen like this, right?
up on a plasma screen like that. We ship remote controls with them. I think you've seen this before. This is a smaller one that's designed to be real thin, real flexible, real sexy and stuff. But it allows us to navigate the Media Center UI from anywhere in the room.
Now, we have a competitor who says our remotes are too complicated.
Oh, did you want to go there? I knew you would go there. So, basically,
and we won't talk about him, but he wears a black turtleneck.
Yes, definitely. One of the reasons our remote control is more complex is simply right now, Media Center does more things than Apple Front Row. Yeah. So I would expect for them, if they were to implement a digital video recorder, they're going to have to add some new remote control functionality to be able to, tune directly to a channel number or something like that. That is just inherent in that.
If you get a Media Center PC, if you go down to Fry's and you get something that has a Media Center logo on it, because I've seen the Media Center logo on a whole bunch of computers, that doesn't mean you get a TV tuner in there, right?
It doesn't necessarily mean that you get a TV tuner. That's correct.
Okay.
Media Center ships with a base level functionality.
Okay.
So pictures and videos, home videos or videos that you download from the web. Music, you have all the applications and online Spotlight available to you from third parties like XM Radio, MTV Overdrive, V-Spot, Comedy Central. You get those types of things out of the box, and then you can add features into that. So a TV tuner is a feature that you can add into that so that you would have a full onboard digital video recorder.
Right.
You can add more than one TV tuner. Right now we support 2 high-definition over-the-air tuners plus 2 analog NTSC or PAL tuners on the box. So you can have up to 4 tuners in the box. But essentially we don't think that the consumers want necessarily all the bells and whistles. And so it's really about consumer choice, being a way to affordably, if I don't watch TV, I probably wouldn't want all those features.
Right.
So it's a way to really expand the spectrum of where Media Center can go into the home. Today we're kind of in a room that's more of a home theater that you might have a dedicated Media Center system.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will just buy Media Center because it allows them to use it in the home office.
Yeah.
For example, my wife, we have one in our home office, and she'll turn around and she'll start scrapbooking and watch Law and Order on the Media Center PC and be able to pause and fast forward and tune to like that right there in the home office.
Right.
So it really, appeals to a broad spectrum of users.
Now, what is when you go down to the Best Buy or Fry's or a local store, we were in London,
right?
And you buy an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That's they say it's Media Center Extender or something like that.
It's a Media Center Extender.
What does that mean? And how does that change your layout in the house?
So it really expands on the opportunities to use that same digital content. For years, it's been locked up in the PC that's over in the home office,
right.
And you can't really enjoy it other places in the home.
Yeah.
We've had the concept of a digital media device elsewhere in the home, but the Xbox 360 represents the next best generation of those devices. So it allows me to take the Media Center UI and all the content that is there, send it over my home network, and enjoy it using the exact same interface on the Media Center PC with the remote control on the Xbox 360.
Right.
So it gives me the best of all worlds. I can have now all that great content on 2 screens in my house instead of just one.
So I can store this thing, which isn't all that pretty, upstairs in my home office, put my cable TV in there, right, and then put 2 TV tuners in there, and then downstairs I can put an Xbox on a screen like this, or my TV screen. I don't have a nice one like this.
Me neither. But
I'm saving up, but, but Miriam hasn't yet given me the green light. But
she will soon.
But I'm going to have an Xbox 360 hooked up to a screen like this, and then I'm going to have wireless. Now, you need an 802.11a network?
802.11a is typically the best if you're going to want to stream a video, like recorded TV.
It'll probably work with G, but you can get interruptions.
Work with G.
Right?
I found, at least in my own personal experience, that 802.11g tends to get interfered with from popping popcorn, because it's on the same spectrum of the bandwidth. or on the same spectrum. So 802.11a is generally what we say if we're going to do wireless.
Now, is there
or
any
a wire
difference
connection
between
speed.
running a wire and the wireless? Do you see any difference there?
You will not see, if the content can get to the box, it's functionally no different. There's no quality compromises when you go wireless or wired,
Right.
because we're sending the content over digitally and it's being decoded. So we're basically doing a file transfer over the network. If it can get from point A to B, it's going to render in its full fidelity. There's no analog signal degradation in that. It's all digital.
Right. And so if I'm sitting on my couch with my Xbox 360 watching a screen like this, is the media center part of the experience any different than if I was sitting in front of a screen like this?
On this screen, we're happening to see Media Center running into a window, and that's really so Mark can switch between a code view and the demo and the Media Center. But on the Xbox 360, Media Center would run full screen, and you cannot tell any difference between Media Center running on the PC and Media Center running on the Xbox, which is one of the part of the developer stories is when you create applications in Media Center. Today it's in the hosted HTML world, and we kind of send that over to the wire to the Xbox 360, and we kind of do that in screenshot fulls. Think of remote desktop connection, for example.
Yeah.
That we're only sending 3 to 5 frames a second over the wire. So any pretty animations, anything like that, when they go over the wire, they tend to get herky-jerky and stuff like that. With the Xbox 360, our renderer is running on the Xbox 360, and we're sending the Media Center markup language over the wire, and it's being rendered locally on the Xbox. So all the beautiful animations, all the beautiful transitions.
And that's different from the last time I saw you,
It's
right?
definitely different than the last time.
Yeah, because if you have an Xbox One, like this box down here,
Yep.
you would lose the animations.
You would essentially lose the animations in third-party applications, and Media Center itself would be run in a GDI mode so that you really wouldn't see the animations. You'd see the end results of those animations, so you could fully navigate the user interface, but you really wouldn't have the beautiful, classy, rich environment in which to navigate this experience.
And the old Xbox did it support HD? It supported some...
It will not, I don't believe the old Xbox 360 or the Xbox would, I'm calling it old, but anyway.
Yeah, well, it is, sort of.
Whoops.
Xbox One.
The original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
It would support up to 2 megabit Windows Media Video.
Okay.
So that's really not high enough to do HD. But
And the
Xbox
360
360 fully supports high definition.
So if you have a brand new, plasma screen, you went to the Consumer Electronics Show and brought one of these things home, you really want the 360. Now, is there any advantage on the Media Center side to having the Windows Vista version, the new version?
Oh wow, there are a ton. In fact, my blog is pointing to a great article that one of our compatriots wrote that talks about all the reasons why you want Windows Vista.
Okay.
Windows Media or Media Center in Windows Vista really supports a really nicely designed UI, revisions to it. The animations, the large libraries are going to be, I know Thomas Hawk really wants that. He's really looking for that. So the large media libraries become much more navigable, much faster loading and stuff like that.
Right.
So we've really tried to really go for the best of breed, and we think Media Center and Windows Vista is going to...
Now, this is going to come out in the middle of February, and so if you went into Best Buy or Fry's or, I forget the store in Paris that I was in, you're going to get the old version, right?
You're going to get the current version. Windows XP Media Center Edition.
Okay,
you're going to get that version. That's the current version.
Okay. How do I get the Windows Vista version?
Well, that Joe Consumer can get that when we launch Windows Vista, and if I knew that, I couldn't tell you, but I don't know when
it's ready.
This year, when it's ready, we will ship this year. That's we're committed to that, and everything is moving towards that.
Yeah.
For those people on MSDN subscribers, they can get Windows Vista today.
Okay.
The December Community Technology Preview is available. A lot of the features that Mark's going to be showing us today, as far as the developer, will be available in an upcoming Community Technology Preview, probably somewhere in and around the time that we'll post this video.
Very cool. And so you're going to show us what this new fangled version looks like, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. I would hope so. Let's do it. Let's see some. Let's see some things, and
cool.
Mark's kind of got a demo to run through, and
I'm going to watch this screen while you talk, and so because you're running through some of the new UI, right? Yeah, that looks pretty good on my screen. So,
All right.
Yeah, the UI looks completely different.
So one of the things that we did as Mark kind of runs through this UI is we really simplified the start menu. Before you would have to select, for example, the movies button and then navigate down to the movie library or play the DVD. Same with pictures. You would have to navigate to the pictures and then be presented with these choices.
Right.
Now we have so that you can drill down directly into those choices from the start menu.
Yeah.
And it really removes one click. Or multiple clicks from being able to navigate that. So what Mark is showing us now is a view of the picture library, the new picture library in Media Center for Windows
Wow, that's
Vista.
beautiful.
You notice that we're running Media Center in a widescreen aspect ratio. It's designed for that. And it really allows us to see much more of our content.
Now I'm still seeing a window, right?
Yeah.
If I'm looking at this on the Xbox, it'll cover the whole
thing. And it can cover the whole screen here. Again, we're kind of running it in a window because Mark will be doing a lot of switching.
Okay.
Between a code view and this view.
But that shows you that you can run the Media Center view here as well as like Excel or Photoshop. So you have full access to the This is not a limited version of XP, right?
No.
You can run all the games out there, all the applications.
So, for example, here at work, I'm running this version of Windows Vista on my desktop here at work.
Yeah.
Have all of my work applications installed. I use Photoshop. I use Illustrator all the time. I'm using all of these things, using Office, Exchange, Outlook, all of those things I'm using. It's a full-fledged Windows PC with all the power that comes with that. Okay. So it really presents the best UI. And one of the things here is you're able to see, for example, in our current view on Media Center for Windows XP, we can see like a maximum of 9 to 12 pictures on screen.
Sorry.
And here you can see about 25 of your pictures at one time. But all of the same information that you have in the current version is still here. You still get the date it was taken, the name of the picture, and stuff like that. So all the features that we see in Windows XP Media Center Edition are here. The interface is more well thought out and designed so that you can really take a good look at stuff.
Let me mess with my tripod a little bit so I can try to get rid of some of these flares. Okay. Wow.
All right.
Very, very nice.
So, Mark, why don't you take us? What are you trying to show us here?
I'm showing our new gallery.
Okay, new gallery.
And written using MCML.
Okay.
And
now, is this a default gallery that comes with Media Center,
correct,
or is this something a developer built afterwards?
Well, it is the default gallery, and it was built by a developer.
Yeah.
But it comes with it.
But it's designed in the Media Center markup language, the same thing that third parties will have.
So you guys are actually using the language that you're going to give to third-party developers.
Just like the Sparkle tool
Yep.
and in Windows Presentation Foundation is itself a Windows Presentation Foundation application. The platform that we're exposing in Media Center for Windows Vista, it also is designed and uses the same technology that we use for Media Center as well.
Great. Cool.
So Mark's kind of just showing some of the animations between the different items. Hopefully it will show up here, but you definitely have a subtle, the alpha blended overlays that you can see just in the hint here. It's kind of, it's very subtle here. I'm not sure you'll be able to pick it up.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see through that. The alpha blendings, the animations when we move around, how things shrink in size and move in size and kind of move into that, and the way that frame moves independently. These are kind of all hallmarks of the animation platform that we have.
Now, when I was over a friend's house who had a Xbox 360 and had a Media Center, he was just leaving pictures up on the screen. What happens if you just tell it to play a series of pictures, like a folder of pictures? Does it do that?
On this?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
So we can go into an individual folder, and if Mark goes up 2 spots, you can see play slideshow. So if we play slideshow, we get some nice transitions, some crossfades. If I had music playing right now, we would see the music.
And it's moving that photo for you automatically.
It's moving the photo. Yeah. It's not
Ken Burns kind of style, documentary style.
Ken Burns style.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. I was like, wow, that's really cool because now you can use your screen to just leave digital art up.
Yep.
In fact, there's a hotel over here that just leaves digital art up all the time. And I think even Bill does that in his house, right? He has screens throughout the house.
I'm sure he does.
Very cool. Okay.
So why don't we take a little bit deeper dive into, let's see some code and see what, kind of how a developer or a designer might architect an application that would do some similar things or extend the functionality of Media Center and stuff like that.
Sure.
So.
And You could do all this stuff from your remote control, right?
All of this stuff. We happen to be driving it from a keyboard right
Yep.
now, but we could just as easily pick up the remote control to do that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. So the key takeaway from this is that media centers, all these new experiences are built using the same platform that we're going to show you today.
Okay.
And third parties will be able to build that same platform using that same platform, and all the high fidelity aspects of it can be remoted to the 360.
Actually, let me stop for just a second.
Bird eye view.
All right, there we go.
How
Yeah.
do I look from here? Look okay?
Yeah, but this way I can zoom
right.
in on the screen. So, thanks. I got my tripod set up. That way people won't get so ill.
Motion
You know.
sickness.
Yeah.
We won't have to warn them to take Dramamine before watching this episode.
All right.
Okay, great.
So let me zoom in here. Oh yeah.
You got it?
Yep.
Great. So as Charlie mentioned, like the rich list support, over here you can see our use of center locking lists, wrapping, for example, repeating large data sets, all that kind of stuff available to you, the person that wants to author
Okay.
their applications. So let's go over to... We have a tool. Where is
It's under spotlight.
Yeah, it does. Like I never go here. All right, go in here. Now this is our. Now ignore the stuff on the right and the left there. That's actually fixed in a later build. The fact that we're in widescreen and
Okay.
that's the our tool's not filling it up right there. This is
I'm zoomed in anyways, but.
all right, you can go ahead and stay. Yeah. So this is our Media Center Markup Language preview tool,
Okay.
and this is what you can use to assist you in developing Media Center applications. This
Okay.
is installed as part of the SDK, and itself is written using the same platform that we're going to be demoing today. So even like the subtle animations you see there, and the use of alpha and the glowing and all that kind of stuff, that's all done using the platform. In fact, that entire thing right there was written just using markup.
Interesting.
All it-
So there's just XML markup.
That's
behind
just
this.
XML, yeah, to do that. Yeah, and we try to focus on making it as easy as possible using markup.
Okay.
And
So the we don't need to go see the kernel team and get the rocket scientists to build something like this.
no, that
I just
was-
interviewed the kernel team. So.
Yeah. I'm not
Those
sure
guys
if
are
that's
all-
a positive thing for them. But,
No, well, they are pretty bright.
yeah, the nice thing about this is...
They write assembler code over there.
Yeah, the nice thing about this is it leverages the power that those guys use in a way that somebody who can just read and write can actually write markup. And it's XML, it's just text. You can dig right in and start coding that. And that's what Mark's going to show us, kind of some building blocks to a fully featured type UI.
Yeah, I didn't know if you
Cool.
saw it even come in, even like these subtle effects and things like that. Very easy to do using MCML.
Oh, the in and out.
yeah,
Enter
same
and out.
type of thing.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. You see that okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay.
Actually, I get pretty close on that. Good.
So we're just going to start from the beginning, just a simple hello world, because
Okay.
that's usually pretty easy to do. MCML, our platform has a pretty strict code / view markup separation. So you try to do as much as you can from markup as far as the visual aspects of it, how it behaves, as far as input behavior, animations, all that kind of stuff is authored using MCML.
Right.
Then you plug in your backend, which is strictly non-visual, all your code, all your data, and we'll see that you can even do a lot of those code aspects in markup.
Okay.
So you have your designers doing their thing, and then you have developers plugging into data, off the web, on the local machine, backend stores to like media player and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, I just interviewed the Expression Interactive Designer, formerly known as Sparkle Team.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use Sparkle to build these things, or do I have
No.
to? There's no tool, visual tool like that.
Let's see the way my boss put it. So if anybody's offended by this, you can contact Andrew Adamick at Microsoft.com.
All right.
Basically, you need to be an angle bracket code monkey.
Okay.
You need to be able to write XML.
Okay.
There's at this time there's no visual tool designers. There's nothing like Sparkle for Media Center Markup Language.
Right.
This is sitting down and physically coding in XML. It's easier to do than that sounds.
Yep.
Simply because a lot of the things that Windows Presentation Foundation really supports, such as vector graphics and stuff like that, we don't do vector graphics.
Right.
So, really it's an exercise much more akin, although this sounds like it's dumbing it down, it's not really. It's much more akin to hand coding HTML than it is trying to hand code XAML with all the advanced things.
No, and I bet you guys give us lots of templates and samples, right?
You give lots of samples.
Okay, so
Definitely
we have a
lots
good
of
place to
yeah.
get started,
Good
and then
place to get started.
and then you can use like tools from Ken Levy's team, the Visual Studio team, to do the prettifying the XML and
Correct,
get
yeah.
some previews and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So you can actually be a pretty good angle bracket guy with pretty fast.
So the kind of the interesting thing about this is, again, if you think of Media Center itself, it is coded in Media Center markup language. So all of the wonderful transitions, the animations, the classy UI that you see in Media Center was accomplished using the paradigm that Mark is showing us today. So while it is, hand coding of text, you can really achieve some wonderful things. But again, if you're into the visual tool designer, we also have Windows Presentation Foundation that you can use Sparkle and Acrylic and all those other tools to design applications for Media Center.
Oh, really? So will they run in the Media Center experience?
Again, XAML browser application will run inside the Media Center experience.
I'm slow, so I missed that the first time.
That's fine. Nobody would ever really accuse you of being slow, but that's fine. In this case, you are slow. Again, you'll have three paradigms. You'll have hosted HTML, which is what we have today.
Yeah.
You'll be able to use Windows Presentation Foundation XAML browser applications within Media Center, as well as the native Windows Media Center presentation layer. So you'll have three different choices. Again, it's all about choices. Windows Presentation Foundation is the broad Windows, every sport in the world that you ever want to play and design in. That's what that's designed for.
Is there a website to start with that you want developers to come and learn how to do these?
So ultimately, when we publish
Media Center ML,
ultimately when we publish
McMel.
When
You guys have to find a better name than that.
Marketing. So when we launch, all of this information, all the sample code, all of that will be in the Windows Media Center software development kit.
Okay.
In the meantime, we will be posting, myself, Mark, Aaron, and a couple others, will be posting to MediaCenterSandbox.com.
Okay.
There's a blog, and that's all it is on that site, is just a blog. And we'll be posting code samples, neat things that you can do, and we're thinking about opening that up so that we can have a couple of guest developers from other places that have really kind of clued into this stuff. So there'll be a place to kind of learn and stuff like that. But ultimately, it'll all be wrapped up into the Windows Media Center SDK.
Right. As a developer, how do you know you need to come to this blank white window? When is the? What are the edges on Media Center that you want developers to start writing their own code? What are some of the things you're hoping developers?
Yeah. So some of the things that we would hope to see is that people taking the native Media Center functionality and expanding it out. So one of the things is like pictures. We have really a limited set of pictures, and they're all about the local pictures on the local box. So there's a lot of opportunities to get pictures from the web. So like Flickr might be a good example of being able to aggregate that type of stuff, post that stuff, grab my pictures library and manipulate it in such a way and share it with friends. All of those types of things could be very well done with remote control. We have a few partners that do that today, like Kodak has a Media Center add-in that allows you to browse pictures from the web. This type of platform allows you to do those nice transitions, do some animations around those. Because it's built on the .NET Framework 2.0, you can select pictures, upload those pictures, order those pictures, get them delivered to grandma or grandpa, put them up on a web share for other friends to browse with their Media Center. And instead of just the snap, 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 snap of HTML, you have the wonderful transitions, the animations, the way that really makes for a rich user experience. So really, it's all about Media Center and what do you do with digital media. One of the things we probably don't want to see people do is an Exchange plug-in to manage an Exchange server.
Okay.
Probably not going to see that happen on Media Center.
So anything with movies,
Movies, pictures, videos, music, recorded TV.
How about news feeds?
News feeds. We have NewsGator Media Center Edition that allows you to subscribe to RSS feeds and consume them, and podcasts and video blogs and all that other stuff.
When I was at the Reuters headquarters a few weeks ago in London, they have $1 million screen in their lobby, and you could easily, they're using RSS and XML feeds to grab video from around the world, and also news feeds to display it in a really pretty screensaver. Basically, it just plays while you're hanging out in the lobby.
We're creating the platform because we know that we can't dream up all the things to do with digital media. But if we give people a powerful platform, these things will spring up. And I was asking somebody the other day, would you have put your on your stocks to watch Google 6 years ago?
Yeah.
No, but somebody delivered a platform, and boom, here we are. So we're hoping others will glom onto that.
Are you guys looking at the home automation stuff that's happening?
We've got a whole subset, of partners that's all they do.
Because that's where I think developers might play a part in. If you have one of these new doorbells, right, that kicks off an API that comes over to your
home
media
automation
center, tells you somebody's at the door, and it can turn on the lights, it can dim the lights, it can, you can do all sorts of fun things, turn off the sound on your, or pause your movie, right?
Yep. Home automation guys love us, and this platform, the Media Center presentation layer, in no small part was designed so that those guys could have a richer tool set to play with in that space.
So let's see what we can do. So
let's stop talking and start coding.
I don't know if I'm going to go in that much depth.
No, but it's good to
Hello
know.
World is great and all, but
it's good to know where the edges of this API are. What can I do and what can I do as a developer? If it doesn't let me turn off the video, let me know.
Oh, it definitely will.
Oh,
let's let Mark walk us through, and we'll see how far he can go before we really have to ask a tough question.
Okay. As Charlie said, this essentially is our tool. This is all we're doing is editing in Visual C# Express Edition that you can download off the web for free.
Very cool.
And we focus pretty hard on making the markup as easy as possible. The smallest markup you need to accomplish the big media center scenarios that you see when you saw that. So this is how you start MCML. It's just an MCML tag. This is our namespace over here, and that's our end tag right there. And we ship a schema to make it pretty easy and kind of guide you to creating correct MCML. So, like, if I do this open bracket right here, there's a few types I can put in right here.
Yeah.
But one of them is the UI tag. The UI tag is the basic UI construct to building any user interface in Media Center Markup language. So I'm just going to go ahead and name it, and we'll say let's say Greek. So the UI tag is where we put all sorts of stuff. One of the parts of a UI tag is the visual content. Is like what do you want to display in here.
Right.
And so we're going to go into the content tag right here, and you have various options, and some of them are more complex than others, like color fills, text graphics, like the now playing pip, a media center, where to put it, or data repeaters, scrollers, and what we were talking about here, text and also video. Some of them are like basically primitives, like video, text, color fill, and graphic are essentially primitives for displaying stuff on the screen. So I'm just going to go into text right here. And you have all sorts of options for your text, but what I'm interested in right here is just the content of the text. What do you want to say? And we just go ahead and say hello world, like that, and give it a color. And we have quite a few colors to choose from. So I take that and I save it, and we go back. Let's go ahead and go back over to our app right here and go ahead and load it up.
Okay.
So this is green like that, and we have hello world right there. You go. That's all it takes, huh?
Wow.
There you go. You made a center app. You publish it on the web, and you sell it for a lot of money.
Okay.
I think you want more, right?
Hear that here, folks.
All right.
Not that it did Hello World and then pulled in my 740 RSS
there you go,
feeds, then you could have some.
Hold on.
All right, so okay, let's go back to our file here, and let's say you wanted to put a button in here. That's a pretty common thing to do, right? And right now I'm just going to put in like a really cheap button, just to demo what that would look like. So let me go ahead and do this. Now I have to find another file over here, and using standard XML syntax.
Yep.
I'm gonna declare another namespace here.
Okay.
Control, and I have another MCML file on my system called simplecontrols.mcml, written just using MCML, and it turns out that when you write MCML, it will in that file you will essentially export various pieces in there that you can import into other MCML files.
Okay.
So in this case, I have another UI tag within Simple Controls called button. So let's go ahead and put button here, like that. Oops, that's this keyboard. Okay, so we're going to come back over here. We've brought in our button, F5 it. Oops, that was my fault. Now you guys see a demo. That's our parser showing us errors. You get your errors in the line number and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
Unable to find type button.
Well, that's how we know it's not a movie, right?
Oh, oops. Okay, hold on. Oh, I went ahead of myself here. Yeah, okay. So anyway, we're going to take a look at that actually in a little bit. Anyway, here's our button, and it's really, really, really ugly and gross and cheap. And we're going to show you how to improve on that. We'll take a look how that was done and how to improve on that. But anyway, again, it's all markup, and you hover over to change its colors, you know, that sort of thing. It has some default text in it, for example.
Could you hold on just a second? I'm going to try to change the white balance on my camera.
Right.
Sorry about that. I'm just going to have to live with it. The screen's turning a little bit green and a little bit red, but
All right.
hey, you know,
We'll do our best.
That's what happens when you play with $700 camcorders. And when Studios comes over with
If you wanted high budget.
Yeah, if you wanted high budget, you gotta, come over with real equipment. But we're doing the same stuff that people can do at home. So cool. So, anyways, where were we? Sorry about that.
We put a button on the screen.
Okay.
Right there, and you can imagine, like, you see, I have this button here, and it came from this one file that I referenced right here.
Yep.
You can imagine that coming from anywhere. Like, you could download it from somewhere, buy it from someone. Anybody could. It's pretty open. You could just build your MCML files and distribute them, and bring them into your. They're just text files, right?
Yeah.
So pretty simple. So anyway, so we have this button here, but buttons don't really do much unless they can react to some sort of click.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another section here. Button takes something called a callback.
Okay.
Again, this button just decided to name it callback, nothing standard about it. And this callback is done through an object, so you need to pass it an object so that when someone clicks on the button, an event will fire on that object. So we provide a set of objects that you can build common UI type, common UI primitives like commands and lists and list of choices, all sorts of different objects that you can use. And we have another tag in here called a local.
Okay.
A local is, you can think of it as like a local variable. In fact, when these UI tags, you can kind of think of them as like I like to call markup types. They're essentially they're actually types that you build and you can parameterize and you can expose through markup. And that's exactly how button was done. There was another in this UI file, right, MCML file right here. There is another UI on it called button, and it was parameterized. And I'll show you how that's done in a little bit.
Okay.
But what you would normally do is, if you were doing the code side of things, is you could create an object in code and pass it in, and you take that object and you pass it through to the button. But in our case right here, MCML already defines something called a command, which has one of these callbacks on it. So a command is just like a generic concept that we expect people to use, and that it has like a description, whether or not the command is available, the name, and also whether or not it's been invoked. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to say greet. Again, I've been looking at this stuff for many, many years now, so if any of this stuff doesn't make sense, you just stop me And,
No, it makes total sense to me.
okay. So again, this
Which is scary.
Oh, good.
That's what we have accomplished our goal.
Yeah.
If it makes sense to you.
All right. So we're
kind of the goal.
Okay. So we have this command here. Again, this can come from code, or you can write your own command or anything. So we're going to come over here, and this callback object, we have to get this command object through to our button. That's done using an object path. So a form of data binding in our world. Notice how I named the command here? So I'm going to take that command and I'm going to pass it through to the button. So show greeting, like that. So I have my button. We have a callback, a property called callback. It's referring to something called show greeting. Show greeting is named in our UI world right here, and it has a description on it called greet. So we're going to come back over here.
Our button before said default. Right?
It said default.
Yep.
Great. So let's come back over here, and then we hit F5, and now it says greet. That's because the button has been designed, which we'll show in a little bit, to take whatever the description was on the command and pass it through to the button.
Right.
So now what happens on a button, if we were to look at the code behind command, which turns out there's two parts to the Media Center markup language. One is just the markup,
Okay.
and the other part is the code side. We have a code API, and we have a markup API.
Okay.
We're looking at the markup API right now. The code API, command exists in the code API. And that code API you can extend command, and you could there's a virtual on it called onInvoked, and that button, for example, will call onInvoked whenever you click on it.
Okay.
But
it's a little bit different than VB, right? Which had on click or on.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
if you think about this in Media Center world, in the new UI that you saw, we have very few buttons. A picture can have a command object wired up to it. So command is kind of like the general purpose. You can take action upon it, but you can hook up a command to a picture, to a video file, to a thumbnail, to a graphic that you download from the web. It doesn't have to be a button. You can create things that look and act and talk and respond like buttons, as you see in the Media Center, but really you can wire it to any visual piece of UI and invoke a command in this particular manner.
Okay.
At least that's my layperson's knowledge and understanding.
sounds perfect.
Okay.
So also an interesting thing about this locals right here is you can create any CLR object, any .NET object, and put it in this local section. It'll be created for the purpose of this UI. And the way our data binding works here is that, in fact, you can actually dot into that thing too. So let's say show greeting is a command, and I know command has all objects on command have methods and properties and all that. That can be accessed through this syntax right here.
Right. And
I'll show you. I'll go ahead and show you that a little bit in a little bit later.
Okay.
So anyway, we have this hooked up, and again, this can come from code. And normally, what you do something in response to your command getting invoked. Correct?
Okay.
So, but in our case, MCML is rich enough to be able to do a lot of things that you would normally do in code, but do it in markup. So in our case, let's say we want to add a little bit of text in here too.
Okay.
So we're going to come over here, and so content is actually a tree of primitives, a tree of objects that participate in layout. So we have something called a panel here, and a panel literally is just a layout container. And what I'm going to do here is put a layout on here, and I'm going to do a vertical flow layout right here. And because it's a tree, it has children right here, and I'm going to go to put the button in here, just like that. So right now we have, because we only have one child in here, it's going to look exactly the same when I refresh. Nothing different. But this is where I can start adding all sorts of different type of content in here. Vertical flow, of course, just puts children in a vertical arrangement.
When you use the word vertical flow, does that work the same way as it does in in the Windows Presentation Foundation?
In Windows Presentation Foundation, that would generally be called like a stack panel. Where
Okay.
stack panel, it'll line things up in a horizontal instead of a vertical horizontal way.
Yep.
So it's similar, to the stack panel.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and put another child in here, text, like we saw before, content. Let's see, click button for a greeting, something like that. Color, white, and then let's see, let's do the font is Tahoma 12. So now we should see some text with a button showing up right there. You see it's really tiny, but we'll make it bigger in a second.
Okay.
Alright, so we have some text in this button right here, but let's say we don't like we don't like how this is aligned. You know, we want actually the greet to appear centered underneath that text. So I can go ahead and expand off of this. This is called the inline form. We can go ahead and expand it out right here. So what I'm going to do is you can take any property and do the expanded form here. So I'm going to say flow layout. We're going to give its orientation as vertical, and item alignment is the property we want. And we're going to want to say all the items within the flow layout we want to be centered. And we'll see what that means right here. And now it's centered just like that.
Wow.
So some other cool things now that we're starting to build up the UI, and let's say we're building it up. We're not exactly sure where the bounding boxes are of particular items on the screen. We don't know what is another hard problem in UI development is focus management and knowing exactly who has focus at the time and all that. So MCMLPad offers a set of debugging services that you can use.
Okay.
So if I hit like F10 right here,
Ooh.
I don't know if you can really, I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see that. Notice how when I move over greet, the little mouse icon lights up.
Yeah.
And also the little keyboard icon is glowing, also showing that that's where keyboard focus is right now. And this is where mouse focus is as I move on and off of it.
Okay.
Like that. And I can see, oh, this is a button, and this thing is my greet thing, which is the parent, for example. So it's just a really good way to help see. As UIs get more complex, it's nice to be able to go in there and see, you know, who has focus, where is it going. We try in the platform to do as much for you as possible. And make it as easy as possible. For example, like our directional navigation services,
Yep.
focus management, all that stuff, 100% driven by Markup, and we try to give you as much as free as possible without actually making it so that you can't achieve what you want to do.
Very cool.
Give you smart defaults for all sorts of stuff. So, okay. Now let's say we wanted to turn around, and when someone clicks on that button, let's say we want to change the content on this text. Normally what you would have to do, you probably would have to write code to do that. Like I said, this object right here could have been written on the code side. You could turn around and react to the onInvoke and somehow find this text guy and maybe changes content property or its font property, for example, to make it bigger. Maybe change the color to yellow, change the content, something like that. But the second type of data binding that MCML has is called rules.
You have
And,
about 7 minutes, by the way. I don't know.
Oh, 7 minutes left?
Yeah.
But for the whole talk?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hurry. Okay.
I have a second tape if you want to go. There's 2 tapes.
All right. Well, you know, Charlotte talks a lot. So. Anyway, so what I'm going to do really quick here is I'm going to say whenever... okay, let's do really quick here. Here's the... A rule lets you react to changes and take some sort of action as a result.
Okay.
So what I'm doing here is I'm going to say show greeting, which fires a change whenever you click on it, and it's called invoked, like that. And so whenever change happens, whenever the show greeting gets invoked, I want to turn around and take some actions. Some of the actions you have available to you, you can invoke any method on any CLR or .NET object. You can play an animation, play a sound, or you can set a property on something. In this case, we want to set a property on our text guy right here. So I'm going to have to give him a name. I'm going to say label like that. Let's make it Okay. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to say set, my target is my label, and I want to change its content to hello there, let's say.
Let's change it to something so it's obvious. Like Channel 9 guy or something.
Hello, Channel 9.
Hello, Channel 9, yeah.
Hello, Channel 9. Okay, so we come back over here. F5, when we click on it, and it also says hello, Channel 9. All through Markup. But let's say we want to do a little bit more here. We want to say, well, we also want it to get a little bigger. Target equals, remember we set these properties down here like color, for example. Let's say we want to change the color to, again, all I'm doing is dotting into objects. And these could be your objects or any objects that you write. As long as they have a property on them that we can dot into, you can dot into it through here. And we're going to say like yellow. And then we're also going to say it's font. Let's make it real big. The value is let's see, Tahoma like 30, something like that. Okay. So we come back over here and reload it. Oh, yeah. So it told me where the problem was. So. No, that's actually a bug that's been fixed. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here. We lost focus, so that's what happened.
Hopefully you saved it. Right.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. Hello, Channel 9, just like
that's
that.
Cool.
Right, all through Markup. And let's say, like I said, you could also download stuff off the web. And let's say I don't like that button. Typically, buttons will be written where it accepts a command. And we don't have time to go into what a button and how you would write it, but it's actually like that particular button. I'll just show it to you really quick.
All right.
That button that we just ran right here has a couple conditions in it. A binding, as you can see, that binds like the command's description. You parameterize the button like this, where I can say, well, this button now takes something called a callback. That is a type command. That means that now all of a sudden, when you import that MCML, you now have the that particular tag is now available in your namespace. And this shows up as normal attributes on that tag.
Okay.
Under callback. Again, all through Markup. Click handler is used to add clickingness to so this thing will handle space, enter, escape, all that kind of stuff. And you hook it up to a command and automatically invoke the command whenever one of those keys are pressed. We have other ones for the typing handler and shortcut handler, and we have all sorts of different things that you would use. Scrolling handler.
Okay.
Bindings, conditions, we talked about those. And this is about it. That's all it really is to do that. But I also have another, I have a more interesting looking button, and it's called, this is my jelly button, like that. So all I'm going to do right now is just switch over to use, well, I'm going to use this other thing called jelly controls, which actually has a button in it. That takes advantage of like animations and sounds.
The important thing to kind of point out here is that the designer can be off creating this button look and feel and wonderful thing, while the developer is just using this wire-framed blue and purple button to do things, while the designer is creating this rich user thing. So if we play the role of I'm the designer, I've gone off and created this thing called Jelly Controls, which has a button that has a certain look and feel. And now I've given this over to Mark, and Mark has just basically put this in his project, compiled it, and we're getting ready to see the results of that.
Actually, there's not, as far as there is no compilation. All I did was really just throw it in and change the markup. Right, that's all I do.
Okay.
But it has the same interface. It takes a command as well as a property called callback. So I come through here and I hit F5, and now it's the same thing. Now it looks different. You know, I have some sounds hooked up to it.
Oh wow!
And then also when I click on it, again, that's all done through Markup.
And it moves the text too.
Yeah, same thing. Again, it's just a different a different button that I decided to throw in there. And these UIs can be as simple as a button like this, and they can be as complex as our full-blown galleries. It's all done using the same ideas.
Wow!
So far, we haven't written a line of code yet.
Yeah.
And I just got a job as a designer.
Exactly. Now, speaking of designers, this is something else that because again, it's the markup's pretty rich. You can do even things like this. Again, 100% markup. So it's just a designer went off and just threw in some animations, some timers, random number generators. Again, all except like the random number generator is just a normal random object that's supplied by .NET.
Wow.
And we're able to host that and use it and call methods on it all through Markup.
That's really crazy.
So the neat thing here is all through Markup, no line of code here whatsoever. You have acceleration, so that if you pick out an individual letter, you'll notice that it doesn't always move back in the same place. It'll stop, and then all of a sudden it'll accelerate. It might be twirling, and then it'll be flipping. And all of that is handled through the Markup. You don't have to actually go write a line of managed code to accomplish that.
Right.
And as far as complexity of something like that, it's actually not very complex. Oops, that's not the one. It's actually alphabet soup. It's not actually that complex. We have a couple of, actually the majority of this particular sample is just the repeater that's using to repeat the different letters right here.
Yeah.
But all in all, this entire sample right here was less than 200 lines of markup right here. Again,
And all markup.
all markup. No
So
script.
no weird C# code sitting off on the
Yeah,
side.
and
Not that C# code is weird, but
well, you know.
no code
And
needed to accomplish.
And what's great about this is because it's using MCML, it'll remote over a 360, and you'll see exactly this, and you only get that using MCML.
Very cool. Well, we have 30 seconds left to tape. Very great.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks for giving me another little tour around media.
Next
Center.
time we'll come around and we'll do some more of this stuff using Windows Presentation Foundation to kind of show you some of the nice things that we'll be able to do in Media Center Land using that.
Very
Again,
cool.
it's all about choices.
Very cool. Well, thank you for showing me the room, too. And
Cool.
we're going to angle in for Super Bowl tickets on the room, right?
All right. Let's start the lottery.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.